Usually when it comes to Americans who air their grievances about police, it's people in minority groups, Black Lives Matter, for instance. However, interestingly enough, all of a sudden, white nationalists and neo-Nazis who took part in the hate rally in Charlottesville, Virginia, are saying, we really don't like the way cops treated us. We're surprised that cops acted this way. And so now there are all sorts of complaints about how the cops didn't do enough to protect them, to look out for them, to defend them. Let me give you a couple examples. Richard Spencer was one of those people who criticized the way cops behaved during the hate rally. He says, I have never felt like the government or police were against me. There has never been a situation in my life when I felt this way,
But Richard, that's exactly what white privilege is. That's what we're trying to explain to you. And I've said this 1,000 times on the show. White privilege doesn't mean that if you're born a white kid in Nebraska, you're rich and famous. Of course not, nobody thinks that, right? It's just that you have a privilege you don't even realize you have, which is that some people just have it worse than you. So there are assumptions made about African Americans, and that's borne out by the statistics. I'll give you the standard one, whites and blacks smoke pot at the same rate, but blacks get arrested at 4 times the rate. So when you don't get arrested for smoking marijuana, you don't know that you have that privilege. You don't know that blacks are 4 times more likely to get arrested for doing the same exact thing. So here's Richard Spencer, a white nationalist, racist Nazi, and saying like, well, the cops have been on my side the whole time.
Yeah.
Gee, I wonder why, Richard, I can't quite tell. And you're the guy who denies that there is such a thing as white privilege. You just basically admitted it.
So let me give you the rest of his statement. He says that after what happened in Charlottesville, this has changed everything. I thought that the police would uphold constitutional law no matter what, but they do uphold constitutional law. What is he even talking about? Okay, you guys were able to show up to Charlottesville, practice your First Amendment right, and you did what you did. And then when things got violent, cops did what they're supposed to do, get people out of there to make sure that no one gets killed. But someone did get killed, right? Because of people on your side, Richard Spencer.
So that was actually Jason Kessler, the other rally organizer in Charlottesville. And so think about the white privilege there for a second. Their side had an avowed Nazi, and I'm not saying that Kessler made him do it or Spencer told him to do it, but it was somebody from their group, and there's pictures of him standing right next to everybody else in the goofy like shields and batons and stuff, went and killed somebody and ran 19 other people over. Now even the Justice Department calls him a domestic terrorist. And they say, and then the cops busted up the rally just because we murdered someone. And again, you want to say, no, it's not fair to say we. Someone on his side murders someone and ran 19 people over. Just because we had the terrorists on our side, then the cops want to stop our rally where we were killing people? This has never happened before. Usually the cops help us. That's kind of what the other side was making.
Pat Dickinson says, I blame the rank and file cops for being cowards who obey unlawful orders, but the orders came from higher up. Okay, so you think cops are cowards now. What happened to thinking that cops are always right, that every unarmed black person and unarmed black kid who gets shot and killed is a bad person, a thug? Like all of a sudden, oh, you guys are the victims. And again, they love to make themselves the victims over and over again, while they point the fingers at minorities who actually are victimized and blame them for playing victim.
But what happened to Blue Lives Matter? Before you were all about Blue Lives Matter, the minute they break up your rally after someone was murdered, you're like, oh, look, the cops. You know what outrageous things the cops are doing? Well, to be fair to them, they said they didn't know they were going to be part of a unpopular minority group. Oh, and now they come to find out that sometimes the government treats minorities a little different than they treat other folks. And now that you feel you're part of a minority group and an aggrieved Nazi, alt-right, white nationalist part, are you gonna be okay, Special Snowflake?
This is another layer to what we talk about when they worry about the white race is getting overtaken. There's gonna be too many Latinos. Pretty soon they're gonna be the largest group in the country, all this stuff. For a long time now about how the numbers are bearing that out. Because they're worried if they're actually a minority group, they think everyone else will treat their majority value the way they always have, by expecting the cops to do things for them stomp their boot on the neck of anyone else and destroying their lives, because that's the way they think. It's like, oh my God, we got to make sure we stay here where we are at the top so that no one else gets on us the way we get on everyone else. Everyone else doesn't think the way you do. So like it's a one-track mind. It's not seeing any other part of the world except from your own lens.
By the way, they bring up the Constitution all the time, right? Oh, these cops, they're not upholding constitutional rights. I would like them to sit down for just 10 minutes and read the Constitution. Just read it for the first time in your life. Read the Constitution. That doesn't mean you read one amendment, okay? Your favorite amendment, which is of course the Second Amendment. I actually want them to read the First Amendment. I want them to understand what the Constitution says, because our Constitution supports the freedom of religion. And you guys are marching with neo-Nazis who are against Jewish people, terrorizing people who are praying 200 feet away at a synagogue, threatening them, okay? I mean, just the fact that they claim that they care about the Constitution. You don't care about the Constitution. You don't understand the Constitution. You've never even learned about the Constitution. You just say that because you pretend as though you're some sort of law-abiding citizen who's trying to protect American values. You don't care about American values because if you did, you wouldn't be a hateful piece of shit that you are, okay?
So they chanted Nazi chants, blood and soil. They said they chanted, the Jews will not replace us. By a local synagogue, they chanted Sig Heil. Now, that's not to say that every person in the entire rally did all those things, but they're right next to those guys. They're the ones who came in with the torches like a Klan rally. This is not a hard question. You knew exactly what the point of that rally was, and so. And then they complain, well, how come the cops didn't support us? We had a permit and we did everything right, and the cops betrayed us. And but they went and asked the cops. They're like, no, we had everything planned out with these guys. We were gonna let them march. We did let them march, but they were supposed to come from the back of the park, and they decided they weren't gonna follow the rules, and then they didn't come from the back of the park. And they came from somewhere else, which made it so much harder for the cops to do their job and maintain order. Now, what do they say to blacks every time there's any kind of an unarmed black guy shot or whatever? Why didn't you just listen to the cops? Just follow their orders and you wouldn't have had any problems. Here, it's unequivocal. The police say we gave them very clear directions. We worked it out ahead of time, and they did not listen to those directions. And finally, out of all these wonderful quotes, my favorite is also from Pax Dickinson's, when he said, this was a, quote, conspiracy to deny civil rights.
You guys are such clowns. It's unbelievable how gigantic of clowns they are. Like,
we mentioned that they, all their anti-Semitic rants, but these guys have been anti-Muslim from day one. So you never read the Constitution, you never cared about the First Amendment, freedom of religion, and then we don't establish a religion in America because you don't believe in the core ideas of America. America is not fascist, it's for freedom and liberty and equality for all. You should read the document. And then you don't care about the civil rights of anyone else who from a different religion. You don't care about it when it comes to black people. You certainly don't care about it when it comes to gay people. But when Nazi civil rights are touched, he's like, oh, my rights as a white supremacist have been trampled upon. Whew.
It's unbelievable.
Man, that's not a snowflake, that's a blizzard. Watch the Young Turks commercial free, download it or stream it, watch it any way you like at tytnetwork.com/join.